Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So move on to the next chapter of our curriculum, which is the irregular verbs, and we'll start with Mahmuzun. So this is when one of the root letters is a hamza. So the hamza is treated differently when two hamzas come together, or when a hamza and an alif come together. So if we start with the big families, the hamza affects the sarf forms when it comes with another hamza or an alif, and only in the following families. So it only affects in family 3, which is the fa'ala yufa'ilu family, the family 4, which is afala yufilu family, and the family 8, which is ifta'ala yafta'ilu family. So in each case, if the first root letter is hamza, it will come with another hamza or an alif. Because you can see in family 3, the alif is attached to the first root letter fa. So if you replace that with a hamza, then the hamza comes with an alif. In family 4, the first root letter is fa. If you replace that with a hamza, then it comes with an alif hamza, which is at the start. And family 8, if you replace the first root letter fa with a hamza, then the alif with the kasra is before it, so they're together. So that's why it causes irregularities. So we start with the first one, the family 3, which is fa'ala yufa'ilu. So for understanding purposes, the first root letter fa is replaced with hamza. So the 3 root letters we're going to use in this table are hamza, ain and lam. So the fa is replaced with hamza. So the past tense fi'l would be the hamza, the alif hamza, ain and lam, which is ala, or it can be written in 2 forms, which is highlighted in yellow, so you can see it in 2 different forms. So it's ala, and the present tense fi'l will be yu'ilu, and the mustard is i'alan, and because this is family 3, it has 2 mustards, so the second one will be mu'alatan, and the ism fa'il, which is the dua, is mu'ailun. And you can notice, as per usual, there's a connection between the present tense fi'l and the ism fa'il. Just change the ya to a meme. Ism fa'il is an ism, make it heavy, mu'ailun. And you notice that this is family 3, so in present tense the ya takes a dhamma, as per usual in family 3. This is true for family 2, 3 and 4. So the passive present tense is u'ila. The wa and the sukun is added because because of the hamza alif is stretched, therefore the wa and the sukun is added in the passive past tense to cause a stretch as well. So ila, and the passive present tense is yu'alu. So again you can see all the harakat at the top, which is typical for passive present tense, and the mustard again i'alan and mu'alatan, and the ism maf'ul, the thing that's acted on, is mu'alun. And you notice that there's a connection between the passive present and the ism maf'ul. Just change the ya to a meme. The ism maf'ul is an ism, make it heavy, mu'alun. And the command form would be a'il, because if you look at the present tense is yu'a'ilu, we will take the anta, you masculine version form would be tu'a'ilu. If we make it lightest, the dhamma at the end becomes a sukun, so it becomes tu'a'il. Then we drop the ta, so it becomes a'il. As the hamza, the first letter hamza, has a harakat on it, has fatah on it, therefore we don't need to add an alif. And the forbidding form is latu'a'il. So again, yu'a'ilu is the present tense fi'l. Take the anta version, tu'a'ilu, make it into lightest, the lam, the dhamma on the lam becomes a sukun, tu'a'il, then add the la at the start, la tu'a'il. And the zarf is the place and time of the action, is a copy of the ism maf'ul, mu'a'alun. And these are some explanations. So just remember, when the hamza and the alif meet, it creates a madda, and the madda can be written as the hamza with the alif, or the alif with the madda on top. And if you note, there's only 2 forms are affected, which is the past tense and the command. Otherwise the rest actually take the typical template, continues, only the past and the command form are actually affected. So we'll take an example of family 3 and using an actual 3 root letter, which is an actual word. So it's the hamza, the kha and the za. So the past tense would be akhaza, or it can be written with the alif with the madda on top. The present tense fi'l will be yu'akhizu. So the past tense was he seized, and the present tense is he is seizing, and the masdar is ikhazan and mu'akhazatan, which is to seize or seizing, and ism fa'il is mu'akhizun, the one who seizes. The passive past tense is ukhiza, so he was seized, or it was seized even, and passive present tense is yu'akhazu, he is being seized. You can see the harakat are all on the top, which is typical of a passive present tense, and the masdar as per before, ikhazan or mu'akhazatan, and the ism maf'ul is the thing that's acted on, so mu'akhazun, so the one who is seized. And again, a connection between the passive present and the ism maf'ul, just change the ya to a meme. The ism maf'ul is heavy because it's an ism, so mu'akhazun. And then the command form, i'akhiz, which means you male seize, and the forbidding form is la tu'akhiz, you male don't seize, and the zarf is mu'akhazun, which is a copy of the ism maf'ul. So if we look at family 4 now, so it's af'ala yuf'ilu, that's the normal version. But in order to understand how the change occurs, the first root letter fa will be replaced with a hamza. So it's gonna be hamza, ain, and lam. So the past tense is a'ala, and you can write in two forms. And the present tense is yu'ilu, and the masdar is i'alan. And you notice that the masdar, the ya, is actually highlighted in blue. The reason why is because typically we would expect to see i'alan. So the alif hamza would come with the wa. So because it makes a u sound, then the ya is replaced, the wa is replaced with a ya, so it becomes i'alan. And the ism fa'il is mu'ilan. So it has a u-e sound, which is typical of ism fa'il, the dua. And the passive past tense is u'ila, and u and e sound again. And the passive present tense is yu'alu, all the harakat at the top. The masdar is i'alan, and the ism maf'ul, the thing that's acted on, is mu'alan. And again, there's a connection between the passive present and the ism maf'ul, just like the present tense is connected to the ism fa'il. Just change the ya to a meme and make it heavy. Mu'alun, and the command will be a'il, which is derived from yu'ilu. And you remember, because this is family 4, when we take the anta version, tu'ilu, then we make it lighter, so it becomes tu'il, because the lam or the dhamma becomes a sukoon, so it becomes tu'il. Then when we drop the ta, with family 4, you always add alif hamza with a fatha. So that's why in the command you see a'il, and that's only for family 4. So forbidding form la tu'il, and the zarf is mu'alun, the same as the ism maf'ul. And in the yellow highlight, you notice the hamza, like I said before, turns into a ya, so it becomes i'alan. Because two hamzas together, the alif hamza with the kasra and then another hamza together, sounds odd. So they convert the hamza into a ya, so it becomes i'alan in the masdar, which you can see is highlighted in blue. So if we look at an example of family 4 using 3 root letters or actual word, so hamza, tha, and ra, which means to prefer. So the past tense will be athara, so meaning he preferred. The present tense will be yuthiru, he is preferring. The masdar is itharan, so you remember the hamza is replaced with the ya, so itharan, to prefer or preferring. And the ism fa'il, is the dua, the one who prefers, is muthirun, and you can see the present tense to the ism fa'il, just change the ya to a meme. The ism fa'il is an ism, make it heavy, muthirun. And the passive past tense, uthira, he was preferred or it was preferred as well. And passive present tense is yutharu, he is being preferred or it is being preferred, and all the harakat are at the top. And the masdar itharan, and the ism maf'ul, the thing that's acted on, so the one who is preferred is mutharun. And connection between passive present and the ism maf'ul, just change the ya to a meme and make it heavy because the ism maf'ul is an ism, so it's mutharun. And the command form, because remember with family 4, when we add the extra letter at the start, it's not an alif, we add a hamza, alif hamza, and that alif hamza takes a fatah, so it becomes athir, which means you may or prefer, because this is commanding form and forbidding form. If you remember, in these charts is always the anta, you masculine version. So command form athir, you may or prefer, and forbidding form la tuthir, you may or don't prefer. And the zarf is the time and place of preferring, which is mutharun, which is the same as the ism maf'ul. So move on to family 8, which is ifta'al yafta'ilu family, and we'll replace the first root letter fa with a hamza. So the 3 root letters will be hamza, the first one, the second is ain, and the last one is lam. So the past tense is itta'ala. And the reason, if you look at the yellow highlighted, is why it takes a ta with the shadda, is because in this family, if we look at family, the title, ifta'ala yafta'ilu, you get an alif with a kasra that's added extra. The first root letter fa gets a sukoon, and then an extra ta is inserted between the first root letter fa and the second root letter ain, and that's what makes ifta'ala. So if we look at the past tense in this chart, the reason why it's itta'ala is because the first root letter hamza has combined with the ta that's inserted between the first root letter hamza and the second root letter ain to produce a ta with the shadda on it. So the ta with the shadda is produced with the hamza, which is the first root letter, and the extra ta that's been added. Both of them have combined, they've fused together to create a ta with a shadda. That's why it's itta'ala. And the present tense is yatta'ilu. So again, the alif kasra from the past tense takes a ya with a fatah. The ya has a fatah on it. It only has dhamma in family 2, 3 and 4. And all the other families, the ya in the present tense will have a fatah. So yatta'ilu. And the second root letter ain takes a kasra, which is typical in this family. And the masdar is itta'alan. Again, it's the hamza and the ta that have combined to form the ta with the shadda. And the ism fa'il, the du'a, is mutta'ilun. The meme with the dhamma is typical with the ism fa'il. And if you want to go from present tense to ism fa'il, just change the ya to a meme, put the dhamma on the meme, and as the ism fa'il is an ism, make it heavy, so it's mutta'ilun. And the passive past tense is ila, so it's a u with an e sound, and the passive present tense is yutta'alu, all the harakat at the top, and it makes a u and a r sound. And the masdar is itti'alan, and the ism maf'ul, the thing that's acted on, is mutta'alun. Again, the passive present tense to the ism maf'ul, just change the ya to a meme, and the ism maf'ul is an ism, so make it heavy, mutta'alun. And the command form is itta'il. So again, if we look at the present tense is yatta'ilu, so we take the anta version, you masculine, so it becomes tatta'ilu. Then we make it lightest. The lam with the dhamma gets a sukoon, so it becomes tatta'il. Then we drop the ta, the first ta, but because then the new first letter, which is the ta with the shadda on it, you can't start a letter with the shadda, you can't start a word with the shadda, so an alif is added. So and because the second to last letter in the present tense, huwa version, the yatta'ilu, is the ain, it has a kasra on it, so the alif we add will have a kasra on it, so it's itta'il. And the forbidding form is la tatta'il. Again, take present tense, take the anta version, tatta'ilu, make it lightest, the lam with the dhamma gets a sukoon, tatta'il, then just simply add the la at the start, la tatta'il. And the zarf is the place and time of action. It's the same as the ism maf'ul, mutta'alun. So So let's move on to an example for family 8 using Hamza, Kha and Dha. So the past tense would be ittahaza. So if you remember, the first root letter Hamza and the extra ta that's been added into family 8, which is inserted between the first root letter and the second root letter, they combine together to form a ta with the shadda. So it's ittahaza, which means he took. Present tense fi'l becomes yattahizu, which means he is taking. And the masdar is ittakhazan, which means to take or taking. And isme fa'il is the dua, so it's muttahizun, the one who takes. And the switch between present tense to isme fa'il, change the ya to a meme, put a dhamma on the meme, and the isme fa'il should be heavy, so it's muttahizun. And the passive past tense is uttuhiza, which means he was taken or it was taken. And passive present tense is yuttahazu, all the harakat at the top. He is being taken. The masdar ittakhazan, to take, and isme maf'ul, the thing that's acted on. So the one who is taken, so it's muttakhazun. Again, to switch between the passive present tense to and the isme maf'ul, just change the ya to a meme and make the isme maf'ul heavy because it's an ism, muttahazun. And the commanding form is ittakhiz, which means you may take. And the forbidding form is la tattahiz, you may or don't take. And zarf is the place, time and place of taking, muttahazun, which is the same as the isme maf'ul. So moving on to the small families, the irregularities only occur when the first or the second root letter is a hamza. So when the first root letter is a hamza, the isme fa'il, the hamza comes with alif. So it creates a madda which is written as a alif with a hamza with alif, or the alif with the madda on top. An example would be fa'ilun. So when the first root letter of fa is changed to a hamza, it comes with the alif, which is attached to the fa. So it becomes a'ilun. And in isme daftil, which is a comparative and is linked to the superlative, the hamza comes with another hamza, so it creates a madda. An example is, if you remember, the isme daftil follows the pattern of af'alu. So when the first root letter fa is changed to hamza, then the two hamzas come together to make a'alu, which becomes a'alu. And the commanding form, the hamza comes with alif, so both the hamza and the alif are dropped. So examples would be, there's three commanding forms possible in the small families. So there's uf'ul. When the first root letter is fa, or when the first root letter fa is changed to a hamza, then it becomes u'ul. So then therefore both the alif with the dhamma and the hamza is dropped, and it becomes ul. Or another commanding form in the small family is if'il. So when the first root letter fa is changed to a hamza, then it becomes i'il, and therefore the alif and the hamza are both dropped to be left with il. So the command just becomes il. And if you have the third possible combination for commanding form in the small family is if'al. So if we change the first root letter fa to a hamza, it becomes i'al. And then therefore if we drop the alif and the hamza, then it becomes al. So an example of subfamily 1, which is fa'ala yaf'ulu, we will use hamza, kaf and lam, which means to eat. So in the past tense is akala, which means he ate. In the present tense is ya'kulu. So if you see, the fa has been replaced with the hamza, the ain with the kaf, and the lam is still a lam. So ya'kulu is he's eating. And the masdar is aklan. So if you look in the subfamilies, the small families, you have to look the masdar up. So the masdar is aklan if you look it up in the dictionary, which means to eat. And the isme fa'il is akilun. So if you remember, normally it's fa'ilun. So the hamza meets the alif, so it becomes akilun, so the one who is eating. And the passive past tense is ukila, so which means it was eaten. And the passive present tense is yu'kalu, so all the harakat are at the top, which is classic for passive present tense. It is being ate. And the masdar is aklan. And the ism maf'ul, the thing acted on, if you remember, normally is maf'ulun. Now it's ma'kulun. So the thing that is eaten. So the commanding form becomes simply kul. So if we look at the present tense, the huwa version is ya'kulu. The anta you version, masculine, is ta'kulu. If we make it into the lightest version, then we change the lam, the dhamma at the end of the lam to a sukoon, so it becomes ta'kul. Then we drop the ta at the start. And because the new first letter, the hamza, has a sukoon on it, then we have to add an alif. Then we look at the second to last letter in the huwa version, the ya'kulu, to see what letter we're going to add to the alif. So the alif that we've added, and the second to last letter, the kaf, has a dhamma, so therefore we add a dhamma to the alif, then it becomes ukul. Because but then what you can do is that you can just drop the alif with the dhamma as well as the hamza. You can just drop both of them and you're just left with kul, which means you may eat. And the forbidding form is la ta'kul. So again, that's derived from ya'kulu. The anta version is ta'kulu. Then make it into the lightest form. La dhamma becomes a sukoon, so ta'kul, and then put a la in front of it, la ta'kul, which is a forbidding form. And the zarf, if you remember, there's three versions for the small families: the place and time of acting. So the time and place of eating in this case is ma'kalun, ma'kilun, and ma'kalatun. And the ismi alatun is the tool for eating. Again, there's three versions in the small family, so it's mi'kalun, mi'kalun, and mi'kalatun. Now the present tense ana form, if the first root letter is hamza, then in the present tense ana form, the hamza will meet an alif and it creates a madda. And so an example is, if the first root letter is hamza, then there's three different present tense forms possible from the small families. So the huwa present tense form is ya'ulu, ya'ilu, and ya'alu. So what we've done is, if you actually take a look at these three examples, normally it's fa, the first root letter, ain is the second, and lam is the third. So we replace the fa with a hamza. So the huwa version in the present tense, there's three different possible versions in all the 6 subfamilies. So the first is ya'ulu, the second is ya'ilu, and the third is ya'alu. But in the ana version, ana present tense, it becomes a'ulu, because if you remember, the ya'ulu, if you want to make the first one, the ya'ulu, if you want to make it ana, then we replace the ya with a hamza, so it becomes a'ulu. And because two hamzas come together, then what we do is the hamza will meet an alif, the hamza and the alif come together, and then it becomes, it takes a madda, so alif with a madda, so it becomes a'ulu. And the same thing with the ya'ilu. If you want the ana version, it becomes a'ilu. Then you just, because the alif joins with the hamza, then it becomes a'ilu. And the same thing with the last form, ya'alu. If you go to the ana version, it becomes a'alu. And then because the alif is combined with the hamza, then it becomes a'alu. So note, in ana form, the ya is replaced with alif. So hamza will meet an alif, it creates the madda. So second root letter is a hamza. So when the second root letter is a hamza, in the commanding form, the hamza comes with an alif. So both the hamza, which is yellow highlighted below, and we'll go through it in a second, and the alif, which is blue highlighted, are both dropped. The first root letter will take the harakat of the hamza, which was dropped. So let's explain that. So again, in the small families, there's 3 different possible commanding forms. So just go through them. It's uf'ul. The first is uf'ul, the second is if'il, and the last one is if'al. So these are the three different possibilities in commanding forms that you get across the 6 small sub-families. So we start with the first one, uf'ul. Now when we make the second root letter hamza, the ain is changed to a hamza. So when the second root letter, the ain, is changed to a hamza, then it becomes uf'ul. Then because the you have an alif with the dhamma, the blue highlighted, and the alif, the hamza with the dhamma, again yellow highlighted, then what we do is we drop the hamza, drop the alif, so both of them get dropped. So and then whatever's harakat is on the hamza that is dropped, the yellow highlighted, is transferred to the first root letter, the fa, so it becomes full. Then the commanding form becomes full. So uf'ul becomes full. And then the second command is if'il. So when the second root letter, the ain, is changed to a hamza, it becomes if'il. But what they do in Arabic is they'll drop the alif, which is blue highlighted, and they'll drop the hamza, which is yellow highlighted, and then the harakat on the hamza, which was dropped, which is a kasra, is transferred to the first root letter, the fa, so it becomes fil. So if'il, that commanding form, will become fil. And if'al, so which is normal commanding form, but when the second root letter is ain, is changed to a hamza, then it becomes if'al, the commanding form. And again, the blue alif, the blue highlighted alif, and the yellow highlighted hamza are both dropped, and then the harakat on the hamza, which is dropped, which is a fatha, is transferred to the first root letter, the fa, so it becomes fal. So an example of subfamily 3, which is fa'ala, yaf'alu, and we're going to insert the 3 root letters, the sin. The second root letter will be hamza, and the last one will be la, and sa'ala means to ask. So the past tense is sa'ala, he asked. Present tense is yas'alu, just like fa'ala yaf'alu, he is asking. The masdar, if you look it up using these 3 root letters in the Arabic dictionary, you get su'alan, which means to ask. And the ism fa'il, it follows the pattern, if you remember, fa'ilun, so it's sa'ilun, the one who is asking. And the passive present tense is su'ila, he was u and e combination, so he was asked. And the passive present tense is yus'alu, so you can see all the harakat at the top as per usual, which means he's being asked. And the masdar again su'alan, and the ism maf'ul normally is maf'ulun, that we learned, and so it's mas'ulun, so the one that is asked. And if you look at the commanding form, it's just simply sal. And the reason why is if we go to the present tense, yasalu, then we take the anta version, which is you masculine, so which would be tasalu. If we make that into the lightest form, the lam, the dhamma on the lam becomes a sukoon, so it becomes tas'al. And then we drop the ta. So now because the new first letter, the sin, has a sukoon on it, therefore the word can't start with a sukoon, then we have to add an alif. And then if we see what letter we're going to add to the alif, what harakat we're going to add to the alif, we look at the second to last letter, which is a hamza that has a fatha on it, therefore the alif gets a kasra, so it becomes is'al. But another way of saying it is that you drop the alif with the kasra, you drop the hamza, and then whatever's on the hamza, that harakat transfers to the first root letter sin, which is a fatha, so it becomes sal. So you're just left with sal as the commanding form. And the forbidding form, so that means you, male, ask. And the forbidding form is la tasal. So same thing again, take the anta version from the present tense, is tasalu, make it in the lightest version, the lam, the dhamma on the lam becomes a sukoon, tasal, and then add the la in front of it, la tasal. And the zarf is as per usual the 3 versions that we learned, so mas'alun, mas'ilun, and mas'alatun, so that follows a normal pattern. And the isme alotun, again, the tool for asking, follows the same pattern that we learned, the template mis'alun, and mis'alatun. And as per usual, at the end of every chapter, we always advise to go over the vocabulary list chapter at the end of this book. Ideally, at the end of every session, this curriculum is studied so that your Arabic grammar knowledge increases with your vocab knowledge, inshallah.